September 21st, 2017. This is the meeting of the Monroe Planning and Zoning Commission, Town Council Chambers. It is now 7:05 p.m. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And will the commission please introduce yourself, starting on my right?
Bruno Maini, alternate.
Jonathan Formicella, alternate.
Kathy Lindstrom, excuse me, alternate.
William Ambrosi, commissioner.
William Porter, chairman.
Michael Riley, secretary.
Will address the plan.
Scott Schatzline, town engineer and member chief director.
Rebecca Moore, secretary.
Thank you. Item number 3, general public participation. Is there anyone who would like to address the commission about a issue not related to any open hearings? Seeing none. General appointments, we have none. Public hearings. These are all continuations. Do I have to read the rules?
You can acknowledge there's really no, if no one's interested in hearing the rules, if there's no here to comment, I don't know. If they're all for the applicant, then they're fine.
Yeah. You're from the Courier? Do you want to hear the rules of the public participation? Okay. All right, then we'll acknowledge that these are all continued hearings. Item number 5, SUB 2017-01, 36 Timothy Hill Road, has been postponed at the applicant's request until October 5th. Item number 6, SEP 2017-08, file number 1591A, 178 Main Street, B1 District. This is for the car wash. Will, do we have new exhibits?
Exhibit 26, time extension request, or granting. Exhibit 27, written request for waiver of loading space. Exhibit 28, revised plan set. Exhibit 29, updated town planner comments. Updated one,
For which, 170?
178.
You just check my comments or something in. Mine are dated to
Ending-
1970.
Okay, exhibit 30, updated town engineer comments.
That is all. Okay, for the applicant.
For the applicant, my name is Jim Swift, professional engineer, landscape architect with offices at 102 Village Drive in Shelton, Connecticut. I believe I'll forego reciting the entire project again. One of the things, or probably the most important thing that was left over from the last meeting was the way that the driveway accessed out onto Route 25. I did have a meeting with District 3 at ConDOT. I brought some plans into them. I brought the sketches, and I have some things to report there. One of the things is they confirmed that they are going to insist on a single unit turning movement in both directions. And Scott had done a sketch of that. One of the things that's outstanding in Will's comments for tonight is to move the driveway into this location here. I did show that to ConDOT, and their comments were fairly straightforward. They don't have an objection or a position on moving the driveway to that spot, but what they did tell me is that they'll insist on it remaining an exit only. So,
Could you just back up to your previous statement from the Highway Department, ConDOT? What did they tell you about single lane?
the sketches that we're looking at for relocating the driveway to this location, and Will, please correct me if I'm wrong, was that it would be two-way, one way in, one way out, one lane in, one lane out. And I did show that sketch to them, and somehow, for some reason, that caught their eye. And what they said is they don't have a position on whether the driveway moves to that location or not. They're ambivalent on that issue, but that they would insist that it be a one-way out. Since we have a one-way in this location, that this would be a one-way out.
So no matter where that southerly driveway was, it would be one-way exit only?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But why would they take that position, the fact that the existing driveway is a two-way?
Well, it's not. Technically, it's not. And as you can see, our proposal is that it's exit only.
Yeah,
We've-
it's not, it's no way is it controlled as a,
I understand, I understand that in its existing configuration, being no signage on it at all,
yeah.
that people may come in it, people may go out it, but
And the alternative that I suggested would be best if it was full service because of the way the operation of the site, given that the other entrance is really to get into the car wash. But, I mean, it wasn't that it had to be that way. If it
Well,
was
I think-
exit only, it still works the way I was suggesting.
I
Yeah,
think,
my concept actually for the center, the moving it over in the center, was that it was an exit only.
okay, well, I'm just reporting, so, you know, and I think the owner's gonna have additional to say about this because of his operational thing. But, you know, and I can't put myself in the mind of DOT, I'm only stating what they said, so, and it was, you know, it was
But
just.
but again, even if you moved it and it was exit only, in a sense, that's status quo for
As
operation.
long as it's exit only.
Well, no, but that's status quo of the current condition, so it's really not a
They
change.
consider the existing condition exit only.
That's what I'm saying, it would be
Yeah.
status
Okay,
quo.
yeah, well, like I said, I'm just reporting these issues, you know, and they may have looked at this opening here and thought,
Excuse me, and so you're saying they don't have a strong opinion whether it should physically be moved from where it is to the middle?
correct,
Okay, just want to make sure I understand.
as long as it's not
Exit,
two-way,
right, yes.
that it's
Got it.
exit only. And I talked to him briefly about sidewalks, just because I know it's an issue for the commission. They didn't have a strong opinion, but they did not seem happy about putting sidewalks in the state right-of-way. They acknowledge it's been done. It's, you know, it's not unusual. But given all the things that are going around in this area, you know, they would kind of not insist, that's the wrong term. They would be inclined to put it on the private property, but then if we put it on the private property, we have this entire pavement area which extends right through the adjacent liquor store, that there's no walk, you're walking through a parking lot. So you know, I'll make my best case that the walk in this case is not appropriate, but again, that's for the commission to discuss and decide. And again, I think the owner of the property is also going to have, would like to add some things on that as well. So what I did was when I submitted the new drawings, I made as many of these changes as we did discuss. One was a split rail fence or something in this area here next to the adjacent handicap space. I added that to the plan. Given the requirement for the single unit vehicle, you can see I've got the single unit vehicle here drawn. And one of Scott's earlier sketches, you know, show how that might be done, you know, by sliding a few things down in this direction. So I did that, I showed that on the plan. And I also added that, a very, very nice shade tree, if I might say. A red maple, the Armstrong version that's a little bit more upright, so it'll, you know, keep things, the visibility of the sign was a concern to the plan as well. So those are the changes to the plan. There was a few more things on one was the issue of the, well, let me say that we do have, I think Scott's comments are pretty much covered, Scott, if I'm not mistaken, although please correct me if I'm wrong. The comments that Will had are, one is the sidewalk, which of course is an open condition, or point of discussion for the
Excuse me,
commission.
Mr. Swift, let's go back and finish with Scott's comments first.
Okay.
The northerly half of the vacuum area is only at 0.3%, should be a minimum of 1%.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand that. I thought it was properly sloped, but
Yeah,
Scott and I can sit down.
We can work that out, it's a minor, it's from here, Jim, up to here. You change this end of it, but not the other end. And still, when I looked at the spot elevation and divided it out, you're still at 0.3%.
You know, the intention is that that be 1% all along the curb. So we can
We can work.
adjust for that, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Make sure I get the, so up front in Will's, and please, you know, step in, Will, if I'm skipping anything that's important that needs to be covered. You know, up front is sort of the issue of the where the driveway cut is. And then there are some other issues about tarps not being removed. Let me say that items through 10 on the balance of Will's conditions I concur with and can make the adjustments to the plan accordingly. Thank you for picking up those errors on the count list. Although actually on number 5, the very last item, HT, the plan actually shows 20, so we need to move it from 12 to 20. But beyond that, all of Will's comments, I believe we can, without reservation, say that we can adjust for those comments, agree to those comments. But again, the location of the site, the existence of a sidewalk and the entry to the driveway is still an open question. And, John, do you want to add anything at this time, or wait for questions?
Just since we're on it, it's, you know, we worked very diligently to try and create as much greenage as possible here, filling in the existing driveway that would connect these two in order to, you know, create that. And I think by, you know, adding a sidewalk, we're now, you know, adding additional impervious surfaces that others had tried to, you know, get us to not do. With respect to the extending the entrance or moving the driveway exit down here, I spoke with Sonny's, the car wash factory. They were only aware of 2 car washes where cars were required to make a turn as they exit to be dried. Ideally, they want the cars to go straight. It's just, you know, people get confused in driving after they come out from the tunnel. That was their recommendation. And I got a letter from Frank Fulop, my next door neighbor, who owns the wine shop. He couldn't be here, but he, you know, basically said that it will cause hardship to his business because there will be, he admitted his customers will come in here and they will exit here, and now there are going to be cars waiting here being dried off that his customers are going to be waiting behind them, potentially blocking the tunnel exit.
How is he using, or are you, I know conjointly you're using that driveway space. How's it work now? I mean, your car, is it an issue? Are we trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist, or is there really a problem?
Well, what will happen right now is cars will exit, and what the dryers will do is they'll have the cars line up across here, and they'll start drying one. When that's finished, they'll go to the next one. And the cars exiting on the busy days will wait until this lane's clear and then sneak around in.
But what I'm asking is how's it working now that it affects or does not affect the liquor store?
He's fine with the way that it is
And
now.
that was my question.
Yes, he's fine with it
He's
as
fine
it
with
is.
it the way it is, okay. That was my question.
I mean, just in rebuttal to that to some extent, I mean, the way your cars come out of the car wash, they're blocking him in a way. What's really happening is if he gets around you, it's really chaos, because you've got 1 or 2 cars drying, you got him sneaking out that wide entrance, so it's really like a free fall, so the guy on the other side of the car, they can be challenging at the same time. You can maintain 3, 4 cars if you move the entrance and still keep a lane that's completely open for the liquor store to get by. I mean, if you were so concerned about the traffic of the liquor store. Again, I think you're just entrenched in the way you've operated for years, and that's fine. I think if it really did change, you'd actually find it would work a whole lot better. And coming out of a curve, I mean, you're talking about 3 car lengths away, they can see the road. Brookfield Car Wash, you turn to the immediate left, and that car wash has been there for 20 years.
I mean, I can only say, maybe you're right. I've been here for, over 10 years.
Right.
And, I'm just concerned how changing the traffic pattern is going to affect my business.
Because you are introducing, again, the vacuum spaces, which is something you don't have. Now you have 2 competing things, the car wash and the vacuums. So funneling them to a more central location, plus providing for that truck traffic that Scott's worried about, again,
Overall, I agree that moving the driveway
Yeah,
over
release it
gives
clearly.
you more room, actually, and it allows the people in the vacuum area to get out. And it actually, and if the drying is done properly, it allows your neighbor to scoot by and get out too. And they don't have to wrestle with where you're drying the vehicles.
Yeah.
But we can see that, I guess, but, I respect the fact that it's hard for people to see a change to that, of that magnitude.
And change is sort of scaring me.
But on the other hand, if you've never had the vacuums, repeat customers are gonna say, oh, something's different here, I better pay attention. They're obviously gonna see something new.
I can tell you lots of stories about how things have happened at the car wash that
Well,
would
it's okay.
confound.
Well, I mean, you're relocating the detail tent too, so I mean, that is up in the face of where you're doing the drying now, so you're competing in that area, and it's, again, that all gets freed up when you move that along. So that's a whole part of real estate you're not really using for your drying in a sense, so that area is what's gonna make the difference in the scenario that I was painting, so.
Yeah,
Right, I
also,
understand.
And then, we'll have cars stacked here, that you'll have the inside car will have to cross over in front of this car here in order to get to the exit as
Well, even if they were parallel like you do now, that's no big deal, it's, the laneage is there, the pavement is there for them to do that safely without, and they're not congested by blocking the vacuum spaces. The vacuum spaces can freely go out as well. Again, and you have people that work up at the front, so I mean, you already do highly control the way people leave, especially in the busy times, so I mean, you don't, that's a big thing when you have your control.
well. I mean, I guess I have to defer to you, but I have a professional in Sunny's telling me that is a very unique situation to have cars turn when they exit, and I've been doing it this way for, since 2004, and it frightens me.
Yeah, I understand, but most drive-throughs for all kinds of uses, banks and restaurants, they all have those terms.
Well, I think also the last point is, I had mentioned, he comes in and he, sneaks out, for lack of a better word. His cars come in and they sneak out this way. All these cars are stacked, and if we do locate that over to this location, those liquor car stores have to go quite a bit further distance to get there. So
Yeah.
just a final
It's
point.
not that far, the lot's
Well,
not that big.
Well,
just-
it's
just a-
also- it's-
just a
it's
final
not- It's not a function of this property.
He also has truck deliveries, which are required to exit here, and conversely to my deliveries, his happen during operating hours.
If you were of the mind to put a fence along that property line, you would be in your right to do so, regardless of what your neighbor says.
Yeah.
So, it's your property. Your neighbor can't dictate what you do on your property. Now, I understand you have a little bit of a situation because you're on his well.
Well,
But that's still, his property is his property, and this is a separate property.
True.
Anything else, Mr. Swift?
No, there is not, unless I missed something that's important on Will's
No,
comments.
let's see if any of the commissioners have questions.
I'm sorry?
Let's see if any of the commissioners have
Yes,
questions.
of course, yeah.
Start with Bruno.
I do like the changes that you made. Couple things that I see, or actually a couple things I want to say is, I'm actually full agreements with Will and Bill. I think they make 100% total sense here. I hear both sides, right? You're afraid of change, and there's a good chance that this change is actually good for you, but you wouldn't know until the change happens, right? So kind of toss that up in the air there. But I still have a hard time grasping the fact that the liquor store, some of their customers are coming in and out of your property. To me, it's a safety issue. And I'd hate for that first non-safe action to happen, and we had the ability to say something about it and didn't, or do something about it and we don't. That would, I would not sleep well at night with that. I 100% agree with Will. If those cars came out and they're angled, they have plenty of room. The truck, all that kind of stuff, and Bill's 100% right. It is your property. I understand the whole well thing. I do get that as well. But other than that, I like the changes that you made, and I'm done.
Jonathan?
Could you show me where you're going to park the cars as they're drive, just with the cursor on the screen, as it is now, not if it's moved?
John?
So what would happen is the exit would be moved down to this area. and
Right,
so
but as it is
this island
now.
will be extended down here.
He's saying as it is now.
Now.
Oh, as it is now.
Yeah, if you didn't
Right.
make the change.
The cars go straight to the exit, and we'll stack 2 or 3 across here,
Okay.
and there'll be like two layers.
And then, can you show me with the change, how that would change your operation?
What would happen is they would come out and they would turn right, and there would be, probably 1 or 2 cars stacked here, and then they would have to turn around and exit out through here, remembering that this would be moved down, so it would be almost a straight shot out here.
They wouldn't have to turn around.
No, they would have to turn as they exit here, they
Right.
turn right, they
No,
get
but-
dried,
No,
and
no,
then
I
they
just,
would go
I just
left.
wanted to be, you said turn around. I just.
Oh, yeah, turn right.
Right.
So they go
Left.
out, turn right,
Well, turn
and then
right.
they would exit.
So,
And you could stack 2 full cars there, and that's probably just one coming out.
if you had to, if you're going to make, if the commission deems it necessary that you make the change where the exit is, would the commission be also having you fill in that upper?
Yeah, you have to close off the driveway,
They would have to
otherwise it
close
doesn't work.
Could
Right.
you,
Yeah.
this is on Will's comments?
Okay, just one, let me check. Okay, that's all I have.
Kathy?
I just want, I asked my questions already, but one thing that I did bring up the last time, and I'll just bring it up one more time. We're planning your site for your business, not necessarily somebody else's business. And I just raised the issue that if, for whatever reasons, the man who owns the liquor store decides to sell it and the building gets torn down and something new comes in, we don't have any idea what that might be, are you gonna be continuing to have the same problem? Because now a brand new business might possibly want to use your driveway the same way. And I'm just, are you perpetuating a system that maybe shouldn't be? I just raised that, I don't need an answer necessarily, but I concur with Bill and Will. I think moving the driveway over is to your best advantage, and that's the advantage that you need to be looking at.
Well, I think the basis of your question is sort of independent of that. I mean, if the building next door was to come in and they were to knock the building down for a brand-new thing, I mean, I think the whole process would start with staff in this commission saying, you know, that's no longer acceptable. I mean, you know, you've got to deal with the same thing we had to deal with. Now you need truck exits, you need appropriate parking movements. Maybe I'm over speaking, but you know, if my best guess would that this commission would say, okay, you got to cut that off. There's no more.
And I am a very big proponent, as anyone here will tell you, of shared driveway accesses.
Yeah.
I mean, I really think that's the thing to do. I'm just not sure if this is the right one in this situation. That's it, that's all I have to say.
Leon?
Yeah, who'd you talk to at Connecticut DOT about the sidewalk?
It was the three main people, the woman, Tracy, and then there's a dedicated traffic guy who replaced Ernie, and Ernie LaGroya, and I still don't have a handle on his name. Maybe Scott knows it off the top of his head. And then Neil Cream, which is the hydrologist. But Tracy Shaw is the permit issuer.
And they have a problem putting the sidewalk in the right of way?
They didn't say we couldn't do it in any way, shape, or form. They just weren't crazy about the idea.
Well, no,
they would
because-
want to take a
well,
look at it.
Well,
They didn't say no.
Well, for a perfect example, I mean, the state just did the bridge over there, they put sidewalks in the right of way.
They understand. I mean, absolutely.
Right,
It's
and so
common, yes.
You know, I have a concern that they would say that to you. That-
Well, I don't want to leave you with the impression that they said no. I'm just saying they, wanted to take a hard look at the sidewalk and where it would go.
Okay.
The state kind of divorces themselves from sidewalks in the right-of-way. They're the town's responsibility. So they don't, typically, they're not really interested in sidewalks. Any walks that get put in the state right-of-way get turned over to the town for maintaining, and most towns have a
No,
sidewalk.
I understand that, but I'm saying, you know. And the other thing is, the state wants this to be an exit only.
Yes,
So,
that was a statement. Whether that's flexible or not,
So the way-
I have no idea, but they said.
well, no, but I'm saying is, by us moving this driveway, it prevents people from going into the liquor store from that driveway. Because right now, it's used both ways.
I don't know, is it, John?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is, it definitely is.
But actually, that's a good thing, because when you have an in and an out,
Yeah,
these are reversed. They really want the in
Mhm.
on the southerly side, in this instance, southerly side, and the out on the northerly side,
right,
because then you don't have the exiting traffic crossing with the entering traffic.
right.
And so this isn't really how, but the liquor store situation never really changes, because if you go in their driveway and you go out this driveway, one, you want some distance between those. So in a sense, this would make,
Well, I mean,
right?
why do we have to make the island so drastic? Can we cut it down a little bit, maybe just a little bit, so that you angle out a little bit more and give a little bit more room to come out on this side? I mean, not make it drastic, but, I see where you have it, but not make it straight, but at least give a little bit more room so people can get out on this side. I mean, like take 5 feet from here or 10 feet from here and move it over.
Well, the whole idea is to
Yeah,
get it,
but I'm saying he's cutting the whole thing off.
Yeah.
That's
Leave
why I
like a
wanna go-
20-foot driveway.
the whole idea, Leon, is to align it with the parking lot so that now you have the two uses, the vacuum area and the car wash converging on one entrance.
Right, but I
Not-
think.
And
but
leaving,
I
and leaving
think-
the area for.
Actually, there's
I
a more
think-
technical reason for that too, and that's so that, right now, in order to get a vehicle out, this truck, see where this truck is over here? It's right next to it's right next to the island. So it has to make this swing in order to go northbound without crossing the yellow line. If the driveway line aligns with the center aisle, then the truck can go out both ways, no problem. You just put a nice radius on there and the truck could go out. There's no second guessing where you have to go to make this turn. I mean, the reality of this is a truck driver, or if someone comes in here with a larger vehicle, they're gonna turn here. and there's probably gonna be a car sitting here that's getting dried, and they're not gonna have the room to do that. And they're gonna go in front, and they're not gonna have the room to make this swing, and they're gonna have to go out into across the yellow line, which no one wants them to do. So this whole idea was born out of the safety in that the truck and the cars can make a nice swing out. They gain this whole area over here is gained for drying vehicles, which isn't available now. Or if it is available now, it's not going to be available when you add the fact that these people are trying to get out of there. So by closing this off, you're providing this nice drying area here. He actually gets more room, and the cars can get out of here in a safer, more direct way, and that's why we're recommending it.
I could understand that part of it if we didn't have a pre-existing liquor store over here that everybody's been using this driveway for many years. And so if you think that by cutting this off, that we're gonna prevent that, people are gonna come through here.
Well,
We're
they
gonna
can go out
create
there,
more of a
they
safety
can go
problem.
out their driveway too.
Huh?
They have a driveway they can go out of.
No, I know that, but I mean, knowing that area of this here, that people are still gonna drive through this entrance
Right, and
here
so
and
they
then
have
get
to-
into here.
so
You know
they're
what I
gonna
mean? And
drive
so you're
through
gonna
right-
create a safety problem over
That's-
here
But
somewhere.
it's gonna be signed as exit only,
No, I understand that, but
where it's not exit only right now.
So they're gonna drive this right across here, right across there. They're gonna come across here. There'll be cars, 1, 2, maybe 3 cars being dried right here. And they're gonna drive right across here. The only maneuver that they're gonna have trouble with is making this turn going southbound. So as they come across and they get past these vehicles, they're gonna need to know enough to swing out to go that
Well, it's
way.
no different than the current situation.
It's better than the current, because if their car's like right here, it's even worse to try to go southbound. So it actually improves that.
And I don't know how many customers the liquor store gets, because there's like room for 3 cars to park on it. I mean, it's a tiny little lot.
Anything else, Leon?
No, that's about.
Michael?
Yeah, I would like to see the sidewalk put in. I think the town is moving in that direction. Once the liquor store goes or whatever, there'll be a sidewalk there, and then there'll be a sidewalk on the other side too, especially with all the pavement, all the cars. I'm not gonna weigh in on the entrance or exit. Thank you.
All right, just to recap, there's the grading issue that needs to be resolved. You'll take care of that with staff. The issue with the entrance driveway, the commission will have to deliberate on that and come to a consensus on what we feel will be required there. The same thing with the sidewalk. We'll deliberate on that and arrive at a decision. You're going to correct the landscaping quantities with what's shown on the drawing.
And some other things that Will has pointed out.
Well, I'm running through that list.
Okay,
For the record.
okay.
The handicap parking sign the poles can be removed and the sign can be mounted on the building. Still need a detail for the integral curb on the sidewalk along the vacuum spaces. And that sidewalk, by town code, has to be 6.5 feet wide. You still need to add the street number, the address to the main sign in some fashion. We need a detail on the plan for the split rail fence. And I think that clears up all the issues that were outstanding with the plan. I voiced my opinion previously, and I'll reiterate that I don't feel a sidewalk is necessarily required in this location, but that's my opinion. And we'll deliberate on that and the driveway location at the appropriate time. Does staff have anything else?
No, I just have the two, I never got a bond estimate, and those bond recommendations are based on the previous plan, which is basically the same overall
All right,
disturbance.
Mr. Swift, we have a bond recommendation of, without sidewalks, $5,000, and with sidewalks of $12,000. Are those amounts acceptable?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? Anyone from the public have any comments? Okay. Mr. Swift, back to you. You get to close this thing up.
No further comments, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Commission feel like you have enough information, we can close the hearing?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Item number 7, SCP 2017-10, 887 Main Street has been postponed to the October 5th meeting. Moving on, item number 8, site development plans, we have none. Item 9, extensions, we have none. Item number 10, bond release or reduction. We have added in SCP 2016-12, file number 1582, 154, 164 Enterprise Drive. Scott, you want to,
Yeah, actually, in this case, Will sent you the email because it was just a administrative issue, it wasn't really technical. But it's basically telling you that they posted their bonds for the new development.
the
Yeah.
property's been sold,
Right.
the new property owner posted a bond.
Right.
The old property owner wants the bond
Correct.
released.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Chair will entertain a motion.
Move to release the bond for SCP 2016-12, file number 1582A, 154, 164 Enterprise Drive.
We have a second. We have a motion, we have a second.
Kathy's next in line.
I am?
Just seat one. Do you have to seat anybody?
You don't have to see anyone, but then all three you have to vote favorably.
All right, we'll see Kathy. Okay. Kathy, you're seated. All right, any further questions or issues?
No.
All right, call the roll, starting with Kathy.
Lindstrom, yes?
Ambrosi, yes.
Porter, yes.
O'Reilly, yes.
Okay, moving on. Modifications, item number 11. 27-86-S-A1, file number 1071A, 270 Main Street, facade alterations only.
I don't know why he's not here. The applicant's not here.
Applicant's not here? No. What do we do?
I
Table it?
recommend you table it. I don't know why they're not here.
Okay. Item number 11 is tabled. Item number 12, meeting minutes, September 7th, 2017.
I was not here, so I can't.
Well, it says you were and you weren't, so which was it?
I was not.
You're out.
I was not.
That's what I saw.
Cross you off here.
Cross me off.
Oh, it says you're absent.
It also says she was here.
Oh.
I'll sit you here.
I was in
Present,
two
she
places,
said.
I was in two places at once,
Yeah,
that's
she
a
was
good
off,
job.
yeah, she was, we moved off of there.
All right, Chair will entertain a motion.
I wasn't here either.
Porter, Ambrosi, Formicella, and Mayini.
Yeah, do it.
So it's you four.
All right, motion to approve meeting minutes dated September 7th, 2017.
Second.
Okay. We made one notation that Kathy
Kathy
Lindstrom
was-
was absent. Anything else?
Okay, let's see. I'm good.
All
Nothing.
right, call the roll.
Mayne, yes.
Formicelli, yes.
Ambrosi, yes.
Porter, yes. Application deliberations determinations. First up, RAA 2017-08, file number 991E, zoning text amendment, certificate of zoning compliance timing. This was a commission-generated text amendment. Proposing some text amendments that are consistent with the goals and recommendations of the Plan of Conservation and Development. We've had 6 amendments. It's basically to clarify and simplify some of the existing regulations. We addressed an issue with the issuance of temporary certificates of zoning compliance being done by written request to the commission. We cleared up the expiration time for getting signed plans in on an application, made it 180 days, and that was in a couple of places in the regulations. We cleared that up. We clarified extensions on SEPs that previously said the application had to be submitted 45 days before the expiration. We changed that to they had to be submitted in a timely fashion to allow the commission to act, and we're recommending 45 days in advance. So those are basically what this text amendment addresses. So I'd like to start off with a motion. And on this we have Porter, Ambrosi, Formicelli, and Mayne. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve zoning text amendment certificate of zoning compliance timing, RAA 2017-08, file number 991E.
As drafted?
So we're not gonna have any more discussion on this?
We are.
As drafted?
As drafted.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Now, any discussion?
I have discussion.
Okay.
Upon the, I still have a problem with the commission giving an extension. I think that I'm in agreement with us.
Let me stop you right there. Just so we're all on.
Yeah.
Extensions are the extension of an SEP prior to its reaching the end of
Right,
its.
okay, no, that's what I mean, I said.
And the other thing is the issuance of a temporary certificate of zoning compliance. So,
That's why I'm temporary zoning compliance.
okay.
I'm in agreement with the commission doing this, but I don't see why we couldn't give the staff a leeway. Say either it's 90 days or 180 days, and have them say, if this is not done within that period of time, we're gonna go in front of the commission and address the commission on why it's not done. That's what I wanted to do, because I think it would make it a lot easier and a lot more business friendly for us to do it that way. And that's what I'm looking at. I mean, I've done a lot of research on this, and it's not like I'm just throwing that out on my own, because I've called people, and I've talked to
Okay, when the situation that we have now is an applicant has, was it 5 years to complete a project?
5 years.
All right, so they have 5 years to complete a project, okay? So, let's say it's been 2 years and they're getting wrapped up. They're nowhere near the end of their approval. But for whatever reason, they're not done with their project, but they want to occupy and operate the business, even though the project's not complete. So they're nowhere near their expiration. They have plenty of time. Why shouldn't they finish the project?
Well,
And, let me finish.
Okay.
And then apply for their certificate of occupancy. All right, if there are extenuating circumstances, if it's February and they're wrapping up, they can't finish their landscaping, let's say they got their binder course down, but they can't get their final course of paving down, they have a legitimate reason that they can't finish, and if everything else is done and those things are holding them up, we're saying, come to the commission, tell us that this is your issue, and we can issue a temporary certificate of zoning compliance.
right, but I mean, there's other circumstances too. I mean, you got, you know, like people have loans on property and stuff like that.
Right.
And certain banks nowadays only give out so much money. And then they won't give out anymore until they occupy the building, because they don't wanna get into this big whole thing and then all of a sudden the guy's gone. And so that happens too. So it's not like that doesn't happen. And so, you know, and I'm telling you, I've done a lot of research on this, and, you know, I understand why we're doing this, and I can understand that.
Explain to me what you perceive as being.
Because we're just putting one more wrench. What I think this does is this gives it a little bit more, some of this gives a little bit more where the staff doesn't take the brunt of somebody trying to push them along or whatever. And I understand that, and I have that, you know what I mean? But I also don't think that we're gonna solve a problem. The way I look at it is, we're still gonna solve the problem, because when they go to the staff is gonna say, listen, we can give you 90 or we can give you 180 days. But we're gonna tell you right now, if this is not done, you're gonna go in front of the commission and give the commission the reason why this is not done.
Is there anything in our regulation right now that allows staff to issue a temporary CO?
No.
So see, that's part of the issue, Leon. Stuff has been historically done that's not according to regulation. We have no regulation that allows the issuance of a temporary zoning certificate.
But with
This does.
no, I understand that, but it's.
No,
it's-
Bill, there's nothing in the ordinance that lets staff do it. This right now, they can come to you and do it,
Right.
right now.
Right, but
Well,
we
this-
also
this
could.
clarifies.
This is just
Right,
clarifying.
but we also could incorporate the staff in this to do this for 180 days.
Yeah, I
You know what I'm saying?
understand what you're saying, but I disagree with your position.
Well, I mean,
Temporary 400.
I mean, well, Scott, have we had situations where, brought to you, in front of you, that where you think it's an appropriate thing for you or somebody in the staff to do this?
Yeah, there are many. Most of the applications end up wanting their CO before they're done with the work. And as Bill said, some of them are legitimate because it's during the winter and they don't have their paving done or whatever. And even those, they don't get their CO unless there's no safety concerns.
Right.
They have to address safety concerns, they have to put line striping down. What we get a lot is, they're not done with the landscaping, it's not the right time of year, you know, they don't have the grass in. There's usually, let's call them fairly minor items. Anything major, any safety or drainage related, that all has to be done. But I'd say 90% of the COs that are issued they're not done with everything.
But there's no finite list that says if you're not doing these things, then it's okay. It's a case by case.
Correct.
And it's
Correct,
subject
yeah.
to
It's-
one or
it's
two persons making that decision.
It's subjective.
As to what
Right. And
they
so
feel is okay.
So I look at it and I look at, are all of the traffic related, safety related, drainage related, with stormwater attenuation, all that stuff. Is the line striping in? Are the curbs in, the ramps in? Can you occupy the building and not get hurt?
Right.
And that's where the cutoff is right now, and there's more of a tendency to do that in the winter when they don't, in the summer, it's like, if they don't have their trees planted, it's like, well, why don't you have your trees planted? It's, go out and do that.
So, in my opinion, do you think that if we gave the staff some control, like for 180 days or 90 days before it came to the commission, would that work or not work, or, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, it's been working. The problem is the follow-up of it.
Well, as I say, we can handle the
The
follow-up.
problem is it works most of the time, but it doesn't always work.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it doesn't always work, and when it doesn't work, there's not a good leverage. The leverage that we have is the bond that we make them. Currently, we do what's in the regulation now is, we make them post a performance bond and sign a bond agreement. But if they don't do it in a timely fashion, what's a timely fashion, first of all? And then if they don't do it in that, our only recourse is to pull the bond. And pulling a bond is,
Well, there's a problem with that because the bond isn't for finishing the work.
well, actually it is, because we require
Right.
it to be a performance
But,
bond.
okay, that's true, but we're not gonna pull that bond and do that
Right,
work.
it's really hard to
But
pull.
as far as staff or the commission doing it, I'm not sure if either one works because the experience I had in the almost 5 years I've been here is that whatever timeline they're given, they don't need it. It hasn't worked in any instance that I'm aware
Right,
of.
right.
Basically, the time comes and it goes by, and that's gonna happen here too. I
That's
mean,
what I was just gonna say, like, how's it gonna change? Because they're gonna come to the
Right.
commission,
But,
you're gonna let them do it, and you're gonna say, post a bond, and they're not gonna do it.
And then 90 days comes and they're not done.
And then what do we do?
yeah, but the other thing is, but what we do is that if we do give them that extension, if we put it in here, and you say that if this doesn't get done within this certain period of time, you're gonna have to go in front of the commission. And at that point,
and
you
then
end up, they still have to come in front of us. Otherwise, you're gonna give them, you're gonna give them,
I mean, what's the difference of whether they come now or, it's not a big deal, it's not an application process. They come before the commission and request a temporary CO.
yeah, but then we set, what we do here is, okay, if we give it to somebody, and then all of a sudden we don't give it to somebody else, we don't give them the leeway or the time. I say we give them at least a little bit of time, because then we have some teeth.
They
When
have,
we
they
get in
have,
here, they need to do
Leon,
it.
they have the time from when they break ground until they're almost done with the project. They have all that time to get their project done.
No, I
Let them finish the
understand that.
project.
I mean, the way I looked at it was, I thought that we could give them, have the staff, give them a little bit of time, and you're working with people and you say, okay, we're here to work with you, we'll give them a little bit of time. If for some reason it doesn't get done, because we know that if somebody's gonna do it, they're gonna do it. If they're not gonna do it, they're not gonna do it. No matter if we tell them, give them time or not, it's gonna be the same thing. But at least they gotta come in front of us after a certain many days to explain to us why it's not done. Or otherwise, we can get them a violation. We can give them a violation, right?
Yeah.
Give a
I want that
citation, we
right from
could
the
give a
start.
citation.
I want them to come to us right from the start and tell us why they're not done and why they would like a temporary CO.
I just think it's gonna put like one more wrench into the process, and it's gonna make the staff look like the same thing that's going on, that the staff's unreasonable, now they're sending us to commission and this and that. I think that, I'm trying to help the staff.
So am I.
I am trying, and I'm saying, I am trying to help the staff, is the way I look at it, is we give the staff a little bit of leeway to do what they have to do within a certain period of time. If it doesn't happen, I think that's the way I look at it. And then if not, come in front of the commission, and then we're gonna ask them why. But at least we get the staff some kind of control beforehand, and then, that's my opinion, and that's, you know what I mean, and
Well, I'd like to hear
And then-
from Jonathan and Bruno. If you got any comments, questions?
Leon,
concerns?
do you feel that if the staff had a little bit more power, it would make it easier?
I believe that if the staff had this regulation where they can grant anywhere from 90 to 180 days, all depends on the circumstance. And if it wasn't done in between that period of time, that's the only time we can give you. And now, if you need something else, you're gonna have to go in front of the commission and explain to the commission why you can't get it done. And then we go from there. And then it helps them, and we also, because you know that, somebody's gonna come in, they're gonna get it, and then they're just gonna ignore them, and they're gonna come back and say, well, I didn't get it done yet, and this and that. But we end it at 180 days or 90 days, whatever staff gives.
So you're
And
giving,
it comes in front of us, and then we make a decision from there, either we extend it or we tell them no.
so your way is giving staff the ability to decide if they're gonna give them 90 days, 180 days?
Right.
The problem with that is if staff gives them 90 days, all right, gives them a temporary certificate of zoning compliance, it's good for 90 days. Once they have that, they can then get a certificate of occupancy from the building department, and the business can open. So then, at the end of 90 days, when they're not done, and by Leon's process, then they have to come back to the commission and tell us why they're not done. Are we gonna shut the business down after 90 days?
But see, the thing is, even with us, the same thing could happen. We can
You're
give them
right.
the 90 days, and they could do the same thing.
You're
And then
right.
we're not gonna shut them down, because we're definitely not gonna do that. So it makes no difference. All it is it's giving these people saying, listen, if you don't get this done, you're gonna have to go to the commission and explain to them why you didn't get it done. And our hands are out of it. So now the staff looks great. We gave you a little time of extension, we worked with you, and they look good, and we don't get the staff being beat up by everybody, and they all look good, and then they come in front of us, and then we make the decision, and that's the end of it. And then who's gonna say anything because the commission made the decision? And that's what it comes down to. I'm just saying, that's,
You see, I wanna take that middle step out, and I want the commission to make that decision.
I just say, and then like I said, and then if we don't give it to somebody, and you got this, and you set the precedence, and we didn't give it to that one, and we gave it to this
Well,
one,
if
and we didn't
we-
give it
But
to
wouldn't
this
staff
one.
look bad too if they gave them 100, they give you 180 days, and then Bill comes with a different project and gives them 90, and Bill's like, well, what the hell, you just gave him 180, why can't I have that?
Well, no, it all comes on the circumstances too.
Okay, but then
If
you're
it's in the
leaving
middle of
but
the
then you're
winter and
leaving
they
it-
can't finish the pavement,
But
and
then
they
you're
said,
leaving it
okay.
in staff's hands to decide if it's.
Well, yeah, but they're gonna come to the staff and say, listen, we're gonna pave in March. It's now December. So the staff says, okay, if you're gonna pave in March, then we'll give you the 90 days to pave in March. You understand what I'm saying? If it's in November or October, they say, listen, we're not gonna be able to pave till March. We'll give you the 180 days to pave to March because the asphalt company's not open. You understand what I'm saying?
No,
So you
no,
can move in and do that. And then, and I understand what Bill's saying to bring it right to us, but I say then it makes us look a little bit more unreasonable. The staff looks a little bit more unreasonable because they're not working with the applicant. You understand what I'm saying? And then it comes right to us, and it doesn't, and I said, I just don't think, I love this, the way to do this, and I agree with you to bring it to the commission, but I say that we should give, what does the staff think, about that whole thing? What do you think about it, Scott? You've been doing this, and I'm sure you've done this before.
Yeah, we've had a lot of debates about it, because there's it's definitely appreciated what you're trying to do, and helping the staff. I think our biggest problem is whether the staff does it or the commission does it, if they don't do it, how do we get them to do it? Because isn't that what you're trying to, that's the main
Well,
thing you're trying to do?
Well, we had a project recently where we got word that the applicant was going to come in and ask for a temporary CO, or a temporary certificate of zoning compliance. And they called, staff called me and asked me how I felt about it, and I asked what the issues were. And it was not a big, tremendous issue that needed to be resolved, and I said, no. I mean, resolve the issue. They can get that done in 2 or 3 days maximum. And the situation ended up being resolved. They got their permanent certificate of zoning compliance and their permanent CO. So we were able to sidestep that whole temporary condition because they were told, no, you finished the job, and they finished the job, and it was done. Anytime we issue these, it turns into an enforcement issue, and I'm trying to get to where we can eliminate as many enforcement issues as we can right from the start. If we don't,
I think, I really understand where we're going with this. I really do. I really do. And I'm saying that if you adopt it this way, I think it's gonna be a problem. And I just think that we have this thing in this town that we're unbusiness friendly and we're all this. And I
you
think
know what,
and I
That's in
understand,
every
but
town.
I'm
And I
saying
hear that
it's-
about
That's in
every-
every town.
No, that's not true.
No, it's
That's
not
in-
true.
No,
It's-
that's not true.
what's,
It's not true. It's
What's-
not
We're
true.
not the only town in the state of
I
Connecticut that we're
understand that.
impossible
I'm
to work
saying-
with.
I said this at the
No,
last
I'm
meeting.
just saying that we're not. We're not.
You
But I'm
read about
saying-
Stratford, you read about Milford, you read about Bridgeport,
I
and
know,
everybody
I
says,
got
oh,
all
they're not business
Well,
friendly.
listen, I'm saying to you, and I'm just telling you, that and I just didn't hear this or make this on my own. I mean, I've talked to, and I could tell you about projects that were done in the town, that I've talked to engineers that done projects in this town, and they've said that, it's known throughout the thing that, the staff could be hard sometimes. And the
Good.
staff is.
Then if staff doesn't have to deal with it,
Well, no, but I
It'll
want to
make it
make it,
easier.
I want to make it easier on the staff to give them the capability to say, listen, the commission has granted us the capability to give you 180 days or 90 days. Okay, we are sitting here and we are working with you. You understand? We're not being unfriendly and making you go in front of the commission and let the commission make that decision for you. We know that we figured out the circumstances, the building department says, all the safety and all that stuff in the building is good. You can go on in there, and it helps the staff out, it makes the staff look better, and that's the way I look at it. We do it this way, I don't think that, that's my point. and
all right.
That's where I'm at.
I understand, I appreciate your point of view. Do either of you have anything that you want to add to this conversation at this point?
No.
This has been something that we held a public hearing on. We discussed it with the full commission during the public hearing. Kathy and Michael can't weigh in at this point because we're in deliberation, but, we discussed it at our last meeting. The commission was of the opinion at that point to put it through as an approval draft, which Will has done. So now we're at the point, we're deliberating on it. Leon has voiced his opinion. I've more or less voiced mine in conversation with Leon. If you gentlemen have nothing else to add at this point in time, I'd like to, we have a motion, we have a second, I want to call the vote.
Can I ask a point
No,
of
you can't.
information? Point of information.
No, Kathy. No, Kathy, you
Can't
can't.
do it, guys.
I'm
You can't.
wondering why I can't vote. That's my question.
You
I
missed how
attended the
you were
meetings and I
last
listened to
time.
the tapes, so that's.
Because you weren't part of the deliberations when we started.
Oh, okay, that's the answer. Thank you.
All right, I want to call the vote. Starting with Bruno.
Mayini, yes.
Foreman Kelly, yes.
Rosie, no.
Porter, yes. Thank you. Next up, SDP 2017-03, file number 123, 233, 235 Monroe Turnpike. This is for the residential property in the LOR that wants to be converted to an office. Changing use from single-family residence to office, removal of the attached garage, a detached garage building. We're going to connect to the public water supply, widen the driveway, add 19 parking spaces, handicap ramps on the buildings, provisions for a future dumpster enclosure, drainage improvements, landscaping improvements on the site. We discussed a,
Get used to it, Scott. It's coming.
we discussed a 5-foot wide sodded would be required. And I think that's the bulk of it. And we have Porter, Ambrosi, Formicelli, and Mayini. So Chair will entertain a motion.
Who's doing it?
I guess I am. Motion to approve SDP 2017-03, file number 123, 233 235 Monroe Turnpike.
As
Second.
drafted? As drafted?
Drafted, yes.
As drafted.
As
As
drafted.
drafted, yes. Sorry.
All right, and Leon seconded it. Okay. Discussion,
I'm good.
anything?
They have to still comply with any ADA requirements and.
Yeah,
things like
that's,
That's in the draft approval?
that's in there, and it, you know, that's part of the building permit process. They have to, show that they meet all ADA requirements.
That's all I have.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Call the roll.
Mayini, yes.
Formicelli, yes.
Ambrosi, yes.
Porter, yes. SDP 2017-04, file number 124, 380 Monroe Turnpike. This is an application for consolidated site development plan approval. Development two abutting lots located at 360 and 380 Monroe Turnpike. One is in an LOR zone, one's in a B1 zone. Substantial portion of the septic system is on the 380 Monroe Turnpike lot, and it's servicing the 360 Monroe Turnpike building. Small portion of the parking lot is on the adjacent lot. Jenny's Restaurant is going to expand into a almost 2,000 square foot space, and they're requesting for a reduction in the off-street parking by about 12%, based on shared use, as is allowed by our zoning regulations. The subject lots are abutting and they're under the same ownership. There won't be any changes to the lot, site circulation or exterior lighting. The application includes septic, parking, and drainage easements. They're going to add some landscaping in one of the islands at the 380 Monroe Turnpike site. No physical changes to the facilities are proposed. No new exterior signs or lights, no changes to the existing buildings.
Motion to approve consolidated site development plan, 2017-04, file number 124, 380 Monroe Turnpike, as drafted.
Second.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion?
No.
No, sir.
No? All right, call the roll.
Mayini, yes.
Formicelli, yes.
Ambrosi, yes.
Porter, yes. Do we want to start deliberation on the car wash?
to go to the bathroom before we start deliberating.
All right,
Take a break.
5-minute break.
Sounds like me.
I am fired up about this.
I understand, I appreciate your point of view. I don't. We are back. It is 8:23. Okay, I want to have some discussions concerning the car wash. You were here last week, right?
Not last week. Did you talk about it last
Did-
week?
The last meeting.
At the last meeting,
2 meetings?
Michael was absent and Kathy was absent.
That's when we did the car wash, right?
Yeah.
No, it was the meeting before.
The
right?
meeting
it was
before
two
that was
meetings.
car wash, I think.
No, I have them on the 7th.
Let me check. What's the address?
178.
Yeah, we talked about it last time.
We did, right?
Yep. It was,
Yeah, I told him, no, you weren't here, Mike.
Oh, no, look,
On the 7th, it was
No, you got the
adjourned.
minutes, right?
yeah,
But Kathy, you
I'm looking
listened
at
to
the
the
minutes.
tape, right?
I'm
What?
sorry?
You listened to the tape, though.
Yes, I did.
no, we did not,
It was adjourned on the
it
7th.
was not on the
Oh,
7th.
okay.
oh, adjourned to the 21st, yeah.
You
So-
listened to the
So then
tape.
go
I
back
listened.
one meeting.
did.
Right, so she listened to the tape.
August 24th,
She's seated.
everybody was here.
All right, so everyone was here August 24th when we had our first public hearing, and it was continued to today.
Yep.
So that means we have Michael, myself, Leon, you said
Kathy.
Kathy was
Kathy's
seated,
seated.
Yeah, yeah.
and
next would be Bruno.
Bruno. Sorry, Jonathan.
You're out, Jonathan.
Sidewalk team is,
Sidewalk.
At least we know one of the no sidewalk votes out here.
Okay, I would like, 2 issues to be resolved first. Number 1, sidewalks along Main Street.
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor, I think you're the only one that's out.
Again,
I know, I say we have to start somewhere.
you're right, but when,
Because what the thing is because we keep doing that, and we keep saying, okay.
no, but hear me out for a second. I was, at our last meeting, actually, the one we just deliberated on for Monroe Turnpike, I did not feel there was a need for sidewalks, but, the commission did, and I can appreciate it, and in that area, I can see where going forward, as properties are developed, that sidewalk will be expanded upon. But in this location, next door to the car wash, we have one commercial building,
Yeah.
and next door to him, we have that very small stone yard.
Right, and then
Next
after
door to him
that,
is a swamp.
Swamp. I understand it.
Going the other way, we have the
Liquor store.
liquor store that has no esplanades or anything.
Right,
And we have Chuck's Corner that has about a 3-foot wide strip between the gutter and the
Right.
parking lot.
and then we have the other corner.
Where Duchess is,
No, not where Duchess is, where
The old bank was.
on the bank.
no, where the other strip mall there.
Well, there's that little place that is a pizza place now
Yeah,
that is all pavement in front.
but I'm saying down the road,
Google
if
Maps
those,
on that.
if those get redeveloped,
there's also nice.
Which you never know. get redeveloped,
You really think Chuck's Corner is gonna be redeveloped in your
well,
lifetime?
eventually, the guy's probably gonna sell out eventually. I mean, you never know, but I'm saying is eventually, you're gonna connect down to that road. I would think, I'm just
I
saying.
understand- I
To
understand
me,
the
to tell you the
premise.
truth, I understand your point here, because going the other way, it goes to nowhere. It ends up at the swamp. I got that. And so, you know what, basically, I don't have to have the sidewalk, and, yeah, I understand about the swamp, because it ends up at the swamp, you know what I mean? And
The swamp may become a park at some point.
Well, yeah, we'd have to fill it in, I don't think you could do that.
A park?
Sure, it's open space.
Is inland wetlands gonna let you fill it, put a sidewalk?
Where are we moving the swamp to?
not that.
You never know, if the state goes wide the road, they're gonna fill it, and they don't have any requirements, they just go in there and fill it, they go.
Right.
Here's my problem. I actually agree with you on this one. I agree with you. I have a hard time saying to someone on the other side of town, yes, you have to have sidewalks because we put them in at Goodwill, we put them in here, we put them in here.
Right,
But then all of a sudden I sit there and turn and I look at you and I'm like, no, you don't have to do it.
No, but
I feel,
Let him finish.
Okay, no, I was gonna say to him, but I was gonna say on the other side of town, they connect, like Bill says, they don't connect up there. That's the only reason why I'm saying that.
I understand,
Yeah,
but it still doesn't change the way I feel.
right.
I still feel it's hard for me to say yes to someone and that they have to do something, and then you turn around and say no to this one. I personally myself, if you're asking me personally, I'm always gonna say yes to sidewalks.
Right.
Because I'm saying yes to this guy on the other side of town, I'm saying yes to this guy over here. I have a hard time saying no.
I understand that.
But I do understand what you're talking about with this property because
I
it
mean,
does.
there it is.
Right.
If you look from, Purdy Hill is cut off, but going from Purdy Hill north, there's nothing but pavement all the way.
Right, but that's a problem.
Until you get to the car
That's
wash.
a problem for walkers, there's cars everywhere.
Right.
And-
That's why you need
gonna
to
get the
point
bill.
to.
And what I
mean-
see is, you know, I live on that side of town, as you do too, Bill, I know. I don't know if anybody else does, but what
I do
I
not.
see, you know, when you come up that intersection of Purdy Hill and Main Street, I see a lot of people walking. I see people walking from the car place across the street to Chuck's Corner. I see them walking to the Firehouse Deli. I see them walking, you know, I'm surprised that people are walking, but it's really a pain in the neck to keep moving your car from place to place. And people are walking. And so by beginning the sidewalk path, I think it is a safe thing to do, because people do walk. They walk to the Shell station, they go buy a soda. People are on the street.
Yeah, no, I think.
They're
Yeah, I
there.
agree with that in a way, I mean,
They're there.
you know, there's businesses over there too that people can walk to, so it's not like, you
That's a
know.
good one, Bill.
Where are they drying?
They got their water
They
marks.
show you how to get out.
John, take a look at that. Just look at the water. Just go ahead, take it. Yeah, it seems like a great direction, right?
There's the liquor store, and the cars are going
See how
back
that
and
is.
forth this way and that, and, you know, to designate a walking area.
Yeah, here
is
we go.
important.
Yeah, how old, yeah.
That's funny.
So there's that big lot there that's not even developed.
Right.
So that'll get developed.
But that's
Well,
on
there,
the other
Oh,
side
he's
of the
definitely
street.
not.
there's these two as well.
And those
Yeah.
two as well.
Well, this will go too eventually.
Yeah.
All right, well,
I mean,
we can debate this back and forth all night
Right.
long. Let's see if we have a consensus one way or the other. Start with Michael.
Wow.
Michael's on the sidewalk. Let's go down to Bruno.
No, we're at Leon.
No, go ahead.
Stay in
No,
order.
go ahead.
Miami, yes, on the sidewalk. John can't vote.
So, we're gonna go with the sidewalk.
All right, the consensus of the commission is that there will be a sidewalk.
Okay.
Good
All
job
right.
getting that started, Mike, thank you.
Now, settle down, children. The issue of the
That-
exit-only driveway.
This picture is very helpful, by the way.
The applicant has voiced very strongly that he does not wish to change from his current situation where he has a 3 or 4 car wide apron that is really unsafe. And it creates an issue with truck turning. I don't know if those of you have Will's comments that have this little sketch.
No,
Well,
I
you don't
saw
have
that.
that to put up on the
I have
board,
that.
do you?
I might,
I didn't see it.
I think it should be this one
I
instead.
saw it, yeah. Okay.
I think it's this one. I don't think it's this one.
I have a copy of it there.
This one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's trying to put it up on the screen.
That's the old.
those are the old ones.
Yeah,
Those
that's
are
the
the
old
old
one.
ones.
Maybe it's just a different printer.
I don't think Will has it there. Or do you, Will?
Did you have it, Michael? That drawing?
I have it, fine.
There it is.
There we go.
All right. This is something that, this is conceptual only, and it would obviously have to be drafted, meaning drawn
I lost it, sorry.
appropriately. That's a little too small.
You were better off before.
I need better
All
glasses.
right,
There you go, leave it there, Will.
if that driveway were to align with the roadway where the double arrows are, towards the bottom of the sketch, was that like 24 feet wide?
This is 24 feet.
All right, so that's a 24-foot wide travelway, and if that went straight through into a 24-foot wide apron that then had a radius out on each side, trucks exiting the site could have a straight shot out, cars coming out of the tunnel would make a right and queue up there for drying, and then make a left into the exit driveway. They could have 2 rows of cars and still have a bypass row for the people from the liquor store to get out if need be. I think it would just be a much safer and a much more safe situation. Also, you're gonna have people in those vacuum lanes where the cursor is that are gonna vacuum their car, they're gonna be backing out and then going to exit. So if that driveway were left clear, cars were queued up to the left of it, they have a much better traffic flow.
There's also 3 and 4 other things. There's also this detail tent that's here, so these people need to leave as well, and they're out of the queue from the wash, because they've moved them into here, and they're also leaving. So now you got the vacuum guys, you got the detail tent, you got the car wash leaving, you got the liquor store potentially, you know, so you have, and then the truck.
Further back behind the tent, I believe, is some parking spaces as well. But
Yeah.
those would
Yeah.
probably be for employees or
Employees
something, or
or-
because there's no vacuums there,
Yeah.
correct?
Right.
Just to throw this out, it appears as though the entrance lane on the north end of the property is that double wide?
Oh, it's like, well, first of all, there's 3 parking spaces that are also open.
No,
There's
not
nobody
there, no,
ever-
not there, on the.
Yeah, right here. So,
No,
No, she's
on
talking-
the
No,
other-
she's
the
talking
entrance.
about entrance
The
over there.
This?
entrance.
Yeah.
no, well, this is
That's
like
double
20
wide.
feet wide.
It's only 20, okay, it's a little
Well,
misleading.
the opening is bigger, but when you get, it needles down to 20,
Okay,
but it's
that's
open from here to here, so it's probably almost 30 feet at the.
fine. Okay, so it's only 20 wide, that was my question.
It is 2 lanes, because
It
you
is
have
2
a
lanes.
full service and a wash-only lane.
My
Vacuum.
idea,
But I guess what my
No,
question,
the driveway coming in,
with the 2 arrows,
with the one right there, with the 2
Yeah.
arrows.
so here was my question, and I don't want to overcomplicate it or make a new situation, but my question would be, if that radius were smaller, 1 car width, say, as opposed to double wide, can that give anybody more advantage in moving the vacuums over and, the lane divides further up?
No, they need the queuing
They need the
space.
queuing space.
Okay, that's fine,
But that wouldn't have changed that doesn't improve anything over here.
Well,
I
it
think-
might have, if everything could have shifted over a little bit, that's all. But if it doesn't, it
It
doesn't.
doesn't look good.
Okay.
I like the idea of moving the island a little bit. So, the
Leon,
problem I have with that scenario is that somebody, because I know the liquor store and I know the car wash. Somebody coming across out of that liquor store and those people coming out of that thing, there's no stop sign there. There's one's gonna come this way and one's coming out this way. You're gonna create
You know-
more of a problem.
Parking lots, it's a parking lot situation that you have in
Well, I'm saying,
every
I think that,
multi-lane parking
The
lot.
liquor store is a misnomer, because the liquor store can't get out. Because when he operates, he pulls the cars right up to the stop bar.
Right
He
across it.
blocks the exit.
Yeah,
You can't get out
No, I
until,
understand,
until the
but I was
car's
saying
drying.
is if we brought it back a little bit, we're still gonna have to angle the cars out, so you're gonna give
Okay,
them more room
Leon,
going this
the
way.
thing is that what this is creating is you need to bring it all the way over to be aligned with this axis, because that creates the area that everybody gets to participate in, okay? This becomes, from here back, the drying area. From here back, the vacuums and the detail tent. That leaves, this guy can go this way, that guy can go that way without a problem. Nobody's blocking anybody. If you leave it here, the dryers always block the exit. Always block the exit.
And what might happen is, as a result of all this reconfiguration, people who use the liquor store might say, this is too much trouble. They might just choose not to even use that driveway
Right,
after a
going
while.
north.
Yeah.
You know, they just say,
Why can't they just go out their
the
driveway?
regular old driveway.
The liquor store can park 3 to 4 cars. I mean, I'm surprised it survives. I mean, it has no parking lot at all,
it's really.
Technically, they could park at the mobile and walk over.
which is, maybe they do that, I don't know, but that's another place they're going out of,
Right.
you know?
Yeah,
They
but at
can
least
go-
that, at
But
least
you
that
gotta
exit
remember
though,
that that's a
that
liquor
exit's a
store
lot
that's
easier
been
than the
there
exit
for
that they have
years.
currently.
Yeah,
And you realize how big of a truck goes into that liquor store, right?
this isn't changing that.
It is changing that, because
No.
that truck has to go out the other exit.
Yeah, but he'll still come
Or he's
out.
gonna back out into,
No, so he'll come through and go out that driveway.
Yeah. And, okay, so he doesn't go Saturday morning when the car wash is packed.
Could you put the Google map?
what I'm saying is, I think you're gonna create a little bit of a more of a problem, but that's my opinion.
I really think the operations of the liquor store are, I mean, look at the
That
liquor
truck
store.
is gonna
The
pull in
liquor
there.
store has a humongous entrance and exit itself, that's overly
No, I
wide.
understand that, but when a truck pulls in to make a delivery, he's gonna come,
And go
say
here,
north, he's gonna park right there, take his stuff out, he's gonna pull out, now you're gonna have him go all the way across in order to get out over there.
All the way, he's going like another 30 feet.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
another
but he
three or
might not.
four
he's
feet.
not going to Utah, come on.
When
No, I'm not
he sees all-
saying, I'm
Not?
saying that,
But Leon, when he sees all the activity that's there, he might say, I better not go out
then he's
there.
gonna back out.
And then that's the liquor store's
Well,
problem.
He could also
Well,
come
no, I'm
here and
just saying.
back out and go like that.
That's
He's
right.
gonna have to back out.
No, he's not gonna back out, he can come,
Sure he is.
he can go like, he can come in here.
His
And
car's
he-
parked
he
there,
can
he's not
back-
gonna be able to go over there. He's gonna park his truck right there alongside that thing there where that island is. He's gonna unload his stuff, and he's gonna pull straight out. He's gonna go out that way. There's no way that he's going.
So it's no different than what he's doing
Right.
now.
It's
just a
no
little-
different, but
it's
you're
just a
gonna
little
create-
further.
But you're creating him to go from traffic coming out this way, from their,
He probably doesn't even do that at all, he probably comes in this way anyway.
And the reality is.
one
is
way or
that-
the other, he's gonna change his pattern,
So-
even if
so-
he comes in the other
So he
way.
has to change his pattern, so what? He shouldn't be delivering his stuff at the front of the store anyway.
And
You see
instead
that
of having
store
the
over
cars
there?
from the.
Where else are you gonna deliver it at? There's no other way to deliver it there. You ever been over there?
No, I understand.
But
There's no
instead
way,
of-
that was
Well,
put in a little.
he could pull in here, and he could back out here and go like
Instead
No,
of
I
being blocked
understand
off
that, you're
by
just
the
making a
cars
hardship
leaving.
for that store.
But he's
You
not.
are
but
making-
but
his
he's-
property.
But he's not in front of us today.
It's not his
No,
property.
I understand
man.
that, but I'm saying that, I think you're gonna create a problem. You guys may not think so, but I think you are.
that. I don't think.
That's the way I look at it.
Well, the question is, do we go with a 24-foot wide exit driveway that aligns with the travel road, the roadway in the parking lot? Or do we leave it the way that they've proposed it?
I think
So-
Will and Scott have come up with a good solution for a property that wasn't designed for a car wash in the first place, and that they've made a not-so-good situation a whole lot better. That's my opinion.
Okay, well, I want to, like, poll the commission and get an
Who's
informal
seated here?
vote on this.
That's what I'm saying, who's seated?
Who seated? Everybody except Jonathan. So Bruno, we'll let you go first.
Shocker. Like I said before, I'm 100% in favor with this plan. I see safety being a concern. I don't like the way it's situated now, and I'm 100% in favor of this plan.
Kathy,
Same thing?
Leon?
I think it's gonna be a problem.
So you're against this? and you
I'm
wanna
sort of
leave it-
against it. I would like to move the island a little bit, but I didn't wanna make it as drastic as it is.
So you're voting no to that?
I'm voting no to that picture there.
Michael?
I'm in the middle. I don't think it matters one way or the other. I did see both points.
Yeah, but see, we're voting
Yeah.
on how we're gonna proceed, so that's like part of your role, you
I
have to
know.
vote.
You're not in Washington DC today.
There's no maybe here, Mike. It's yes or no.
All right, I'm leaning towards this plan, yes.
So you're voting for this plan. I am in agreement that this is the plan that we would like to see. So,
With the sidewalks, that's good.
so we have sidewalks, and we have the approximately 24-foot wide exit-only driveway that aligns with
No, I know.
the
I'm
parking
just saying.
driveway.
No,
I
know
know
those
about
property
the
well,
dimensions,
that's how
it's
I-
subject to
I
DOT.
know
So we're
it's
gonna have to
gonna
come
be-
up with some
hate that shit
careful wording on
No,
how
I
to
know, but-
describe
but-
what's
If you,
I know.
required.
the way
But
you
Okay.
the two of us will
think of
work
it,
on something, we'll get something.
if you create a problem, it's gonna be worse. Rather than create any kind of a problem. Yeah, and I just look at it, that way. That's my opinion. That's not my,
I don't think he's getting, I don't think the liquor store is getting deliveries at prime time of car wash either.
Okay, let's move on to some, what other issues are there with this application that we
I
need
thought they
to?
were agreeable to the other things, and as long as you're agreeable with the waiver of the loading space?
Waiver of the loading site?
I don't have a problem with that.
I don't,
No, it's okay.
It's fine.
okay, we're good with that. All of the other staff comments concerning stuff that needs to be corrected on the plans, they were in agreement with.
Bill, could you clarify something? The detail of the split rail fence, the split rail fence is way down the bottom near the
By the,
basin?
no, by the,
it's right by the.
right there.
Oh, that,
Yeah, right
okay,
there.
all right.
They added a split rail fence
Yep.
there
Okay.
I thought he had a thing in the plans for a vinyl fence, no?
that was for the dumpster enclosure.
Oh, okay, sorry.
And the walk along the vacuum area, they need to make 6.5 feet wide.
Yeah, well, those are our comments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
instead of 4.
We gotta do it.
So we'll waive the loading space. Landscaping looks good.
Mhm.
Everything else
Planted a tree.
looks good. We have a nice red maple out front. Anything else?
I'm good.
Okay,
So-
so commission is leaning towards Will doing a draft of approval?
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes?
But-
Okay,
Does he have to come back in with a new set of plans, so we can't vote on this, right?
we can vote on it.
Not
No, those are
tonight.
gonna be conditions.
We're not
of
gonna vote on
approval.
it tonight, we're gonna vote on,
Those will be conditions of approval. to
yeah,
make those amendments.
they're gonna draft it up in the conditions of approval. and
But
then
we-
we'll vote on it.
We won't be able to see a final.
We're not
plan.
gonna see a final plan. It's going to be similar to that. It's
But
gonna
it
be,
will be a formal plan when it gets on the record.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, we don't have any dimensions or anything on there.
yeah, but it's subject to DOT anyway, so we have to work that out. It's
Subject to
doable.
DOT approval.
There's nothing that's not doable about it.
Oh, so we can vote on something that we don't have.
Yeah, you're
All the
conditioning that they're gonna provide that detail, they're gonna get that approval from DOT.
You approve with modifications. If the modifications get way too much, then,
Then it comes back.
then it.
Yeah. If they can't meet the conditions of the modification.
Okay.
All right, next up, regulation review amendment work session. We have a meeting
Monday.
Monday, 5:30.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
And Bill, you gonna talk about this?
Yeah, and I was gonna have that under land use staff reports.
Oh,
You
okay.
wanna have it? All right. talk
Yeah, I was
about
just, because it comes from the committee to some extent.
it now. Okay. Go ahead.
All right, so what you have today on your dais was this package. We talked about this with the commission a little bit, a few times, and it's been with the subcommittee several times. So what you have here is a series of different amendments related to, primarily they have to do with redefining and clarifying the land uses by district. Basically, the major thing is we're taking it out of the individual sections, and we created in the back a table that you can see all the districts across, and then all the uses down, and you can see what district they're in and what permit is required. Much easier to deal with patrons, with developers, whatever, and clearer and easier. In addition to that, we've included updating of the definitions. They're shown in the table, but they're going to be, if you adopt them, they're going to get embedded in Article 2 the way it is presently, but the table was just an easy way to express it at this point in time. And the definitions that we're dealing with are those that relate to land uses. So we're not dealing with things like, so we're just defining the different types of land uses. Those are the definitions we're focusing on. There are other definitions which are remaining in the code. The third piece to this is updating the parking standards for the different land uses. And that too is been distilled down into a table. So that will come out of the section where it's presently, and then it will be sitting in a table at the end of the regulation. So we're introducing this new Article 10, which has these two schedules. And the definitions, the land use table, and the parking standards are now all aligned with the same uses, so they cover each of the different things. So obviously, this is a lot for you to read, so you need to take some time, and I guess you need to decide when you would, as a commission, discuss this on an agenda.
Will this require a public hearing?
Eventually, but you
absolutely.
have to send it to that, but you need to, as a commission, decide this is where you're going.
Provided, what I would like to do is put it on the agenda for our next meeting,
Okay.
with the understanding that we do have a couple of public hearings that may eat up a considerable amount of time, and if it's starting to get too late, we'll just put this off to the following meeting. But if possible, if everyone over the next 2 weeks could take some time to go over this. And this is something that, this packet here is a compilation of at least 2 years' work of the regulation subcommittee. We've been working on this on and off, for at least 2 years, right, Will?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here, but it's not the kind of thing that can really be done in bits and pieces, because it all ties together. Definitions, uses of the land, parking tied into those uses. So it was a lot of work and a lot of time. And I thank Will, because he's done the bulk of it. But if we could take time to look over it, if we have time, we'll go into it at our next meeting, the following meeting, or do part of it next week, the next meeting, and finish it up the following meeting. And then, once we've had a chance to all review this and discuss it as a full commission, we will submit it for a public hearing.
We're gonna be able to get it to Paul and Dave? So
Yeah, I'll get those out to them tomorrow. I'll send them out to them.
You know what, Paul works right across the street from me, I'll take his.
I also live a street away from him too, so either way.
I can get Dave to his wife. I don't know if she's in the room.
I don't know either. I haven't seen her lately.
Unless you want to get, is that what you said?
No, he lives near
Bruno?
Paul.
For who?
Oh, you live in Paul. We'll get this to Dave, he's just down the street.
All right, anything else on that, Will?
Nope.
All right, correspondence, other received, we have none. Chairman's report, I have nothing. Commissioners' reports, anything, anybody?
It's just a question or a comment. I noticed that Associated Appliance moved. They moved from next to, or across from Roberto's to next to the Monroe Diner.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything about where the museum's gonna go?
No,
Never heard anything.
no, we approved the use,
No,
not for that property, for that zone.
For the
Right.
zone.
So
No, he ever made an agreement with the guy,
I guess not,
right?
but.
maybe he's gonna go in that place across from,
That's what I was
Roberto's.
That's what I
Yeah, you
thought.
never know.
Maybe they're
Smaller,
swapping,
smaller, or whatever, yeah. it could be.
swapping spaces, I don't know, but, he implied that that's where he was,
Yeah, where he was gonna go.
that where he was going.
well, so long as, I believe they're the same zone, one to one.
I think they are.
Anything else, staff?
Sometimes when you
What's the date of our next meeting?
All right, motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Yeah.
Adjourned at 8:54.